Hello and welcome. In this video, I want to talk about the gods of heaven and the structure of spirit and the 13 dimensions. So, what is this about? Well, this is a video about spirituality and the dimensions that one can perceive with the spirit and how gods relate to the spirit and the chakras and Kundalini or the Holy Spirit. So thank you for watching and enjoy. So as a general introduction, I'd like to say something about Kundalini or the Holy Spirit. It will show you the spiritual way. It activates the chakras and it grows higher and higher, and it makes one grow spiritually. And I think surrender to Kundalini is the best way to advance spiritually. That and practicing love in surrender. If you don't know what Kundalini is, it's an energy located at the base of the spine, and it can activate itself. It will awaken and rise up, and it will slowly start to work on your spirit and activating the chakras and reaching higher and higher dimensions of spirit, of reality itself. And in surrender, you will get to realize these dimensions and chakras, etc. Yeah, that's all for now. Let's go to the next slide. So before we start talking about the dimensions themselves, I want to say a little bit about the structure of spirit or reality. And well, we live in the third dimension, the X, Y, and Z. We have the height of things, length of things, and the height of things. But of course, that's not all we perceive. We live in time as well, but we can't really grasp or see time. It's a little bit like a question, like what is time? So this could be the fourth dimension, and that makes one wonder, right? So if there's X, Y, and Z and there's time, what else is there? So there could be more dimensions to reality itself. Okay, so now each dimension has its own spiritual god, or yeah, how do you call it? I call it a god because it's the spirit, the form of spirit residing over the dimension, and each dimension has its own type of god, and we will go into those in the next few slides. And I want to cover the first 13 dimensions and their gods, and yeah, well, just go along for the ride. So we'll go to the next slide. So like I said, we live in the 3D, and this slide is about the 3 dimensions. So it's space as we know it and perceive it with our senses, like we can see it and we can walk in it and we can touch it. Basically the materialistic plane of reality. There is a spiritual side to this, and these are the well-known chakras. If you just Google chakra on the internet or search it, you'll find usually a picture that has a red root chakra, or the first chakra. It's bright red, and Well, the second one is orange, etc. And well, this is just the 3D spirit, really. And um, there are more dimensions than the 3D, but Kundalini or the Holy Spirit, it will activate these 3D chakras, and it will lighten them up, brighten them, and it will make you be able to feel them, release energy with it, and well, become conscious of it. And well, the 3D chakras are pretty well known and pretty well explored. It's like the root chakra, the red one, it's about survival and safety, and you know, um, uh, um, those topics more or less. The second chakra is more about sexuality and creativity. Um, you know, so yeah, let's not spend too much time on these. These are well known. So I just want to talk a little bit about, so what is the god of the third dimension? Excuse me. It's the dog, and if you just look at the word dog and you read it backwards, it says God, right? So the dog really is like the spiritual form that resides over the 3D, and it's very loyal, it's very caring and loving, and it loves humans. It's active, it's full of energy, it's a little lazy at times, maybe. Um, all the qualities of a dog, and think of the positive qualities. It really loves food. Sometimes it's a little aggressive, stuff like that. So, yeah, if you can relate to dogs, you can pretty much relate very well to the 3D. And yeah, so um, most of people might um, realize that um, that there is like animals residing within our spirit, or maybe not all people realize, but in yogic culture they say there are animals within ourselves, right? And one of those animals is the dog. So part of structure of our spirit is dog-like. So it has the qualities of a dog, and um, so think about what can be said about dogs. Dogs live in packs. They have an alpha male. Um, they hunt for food. They live with humans, etc. Now, spiritually, one can think of a dog and try to realize it. Um, yeah, okay, let's go on to the next slide. So let's talk about the fourth dimension now, the 4D. And this starts at chakra 8 or 9. And the 8th chakra is called the soul star. It's about the purpose and goal in your life. And its god is the snake. So what does this mean? Well, one Kundalini activates, um, some call it the serpent power. It really just means that you're becoming aware slowly of the 4D or the fourth dimension, chakras and spirit. So what it will do is first Kundalini or the Holy Spirit will activate and brighten the 3D chakras. One will gain an awareness of the god of the fourth dimension, which is the snake. And really one spirit opens up and gains awareness of and feelings into the energy of the fourth dimension. So this dimension has a few chakras associated with it, and if you look online, one can find pictures of these chakras, including the names and the colors, and one can meditate on this. Now, the snake is really interesting, but there's more to it. The Holy Spirit will show you. So let's talk more about the next dimension in the next slide. So the 5D or the fifth dimension is the next tier of chakras. And starts with the 16th chakra. So one can still find picture of what the colors are of these chakras. And one can realize them within spirit. And one can focus on the chakras, try to feel them. One thing to know about chakras is, let's say you want to heal the third eye chakra, the sixth one. The way to do this is to become aware of and think of both the sixth chakra and the next higher one, so the seventh one, the crown chakra, the white violet chakra. And yeah, that's just a side note, but let's talk about the god of the 5D. It's the cow, or well, I guess one knows the animal. The cow, it produces milk. Well, it's more part of the emotional body in a higher state, and I'm not sure, but it might govern the main nadis. Don't quote me on that. It just, if one realizes the cow, one can go on to the next dimension. And it really is just a matter of one's spirit or one's awareness becoming that of a cow. And yeah, let's go on to the next slide. So this is where we get into the sixth dimension. It starts with chakra 23, which, if you want to know the color of it, it's the, think of purplish, reddish color, you know. If you want to know the specific color of it, look up a picture of monasteries or temples, you know, whatever you want to call it, monasteries, I guess, in Tibet. You know, the color of the walls there, this reddish purplish color is the color of the 23rd chakra, the root of the 6D. And one might wonder, okay, so good, I know that. What is the next chakra and what's the one after that? What's 24? What's 25? Well, one doesn't need to realize every individual chakra to realize the dimension. It's like the god of a dimension, the form of spirit residing over it. It's like embodying all the chakras of its dimension. So in this case, the 6D, the god of it is the elephant. And one might know from Hinduism, for example, Ganesha, which is a god presenting itself as an elephant. And it's just like that. The one spirit can become that of an elephant. Yes, so that's what governs the 6D. Let's go on to the next one. So the 7D starts at chakra 30. And so what's that about? Well, one doesn't need to see or realize the chakra colors. It might be nice to have a number, to focus on. But, personally I didn't count them. I just realized the dolphin or the whale actually. People might be inclined to call it the dolphin. I'm inclined to call it the whale. And with that I mean the god of the 7D. Right? So one might think, okay, so we progressed through the dimensions and it goes higher and higher. And one might think, okay, what comes to the surface? What is above a whale or a dolphin? And one can see this in nature. Think like a whale or a dolphin surfacing, going to the surface of the ocean. And it shoots water right out of its hole in its back. So it's like a little fountain. And when one discovers the whale or dolphin god, the 7D, one finds the fountain of youth and love. Really, this is what it means. So, yeah, that's what I have to say right now about the 7D. Thank you. So now we get into the 8D, and now it gets really interesting. So I kind of lost track of the chakras, here, the numbers, the colors, everything. But one can think, okay, what's above a whale or a dolphin, if it's like a fountain, what's above a fountain, And it's okay, so there's space above it, right? There's air above it. Above the air is space outside of Earth. And, well, if one thinks of the structure of a fountain, really, what it does is it shoots up and it comes down at the top, right? And this, picture this as something that gives, like it gives up from a root and it goes to a certain height at the surface, and then it bows down, and, well, in the 3D reality, the water will fall down back into the fountain and it go up again. But the structure of the water in the fountain or in the dolphin's blowing of the water, right? Think of this as inverted, right? Because that's the next step one has to take to access the 8D. And so what is the inverted structure of the fountain. And one can find this in space, and it's the black hole. So really what it does is um, it extends in a big way, and it attracts, it sucks in, it's like gravity, you know, in a sense. So um, yeah, it's like the there's theories that one can go inside the black hole, right? Um, One can think of this as a structure of space-time, right? That's what they talk about. And that then one can go deeper and deeper inside a black hole. So this is what the AD, where the AD starts. All right. So let's think about the uh, God of the AD. And so really again, because um, we have space and time, space within uh, the 3D. And now we have a black hole, right? And it's like um, well, it's like what else? What else is there? I mean, some say it's a portal to something. It's a portal to heaven basically, and the land of milk and honey. And once one starts to realize this, the God of the AD, one will get um, to the root of heaven. One will start to think and become conscious of heaven as it's said to be, like a land of milk and honey, beautiful and full of light and people, etc. So what is the God of the AD? And well, really, it's it's the dog again, like the 3D dog, but this time it's the dog in surrender, right? Because the dog surrenders to the Holy Spirit with love. So what does it look like? And it's a dog in surrender. It's pretty obvious if one looks at nature. If one looks at a dog in surrender, it's on its back, really. You know, when one dog submits to another, it lies on its back, um, with its head up, but looking at the stars. You know, the heaven of heaven, really. And that's what it looks like. So let's go on to the next one. So now let's talk about the 9D, and it continues the theme of the inverted gods, or the gods in surrender. This is what the inverted form means. So the structure is following the structure of the first few dimensions. So in this case it's the snake on its head, or upside down, or in surrender to love. And when one realizes that, one gains access to the 9D. So the same can be said for the 10D, right? It follows the same structure. It's from the 4D, the snake, to the 5D, the cow. Um, it's the same as in the 9D to the 10D, except it's inverted. So in this case, from the 9D, the inverted snake, you get in the 10D the inverted cow, or the cow upside down, or the cow in surrender to love. For the 11D, we get the elephant in surrender. Like Ganesha, the god of the elephant dimension. He surrenders to the Holy Spirit or Kundalini. And when this god is in surrender, it's upside down. So really that's what the 11D is about. Now the 12D is where it gets interesting again, right? Because really, if you think about the structure, we had the fountain, right? The whale, the dolphin. And we asked ourselves, what is above the fountain? And we found the black hole, and we found the root of heaven. So if we reached the highest God of heaven, so uh, what is its God, right? What's the God of heaven? And it's not uh, the will and surrender. It's more like, well, the owl resides there, the wisdom. And really, people say sometimes like, just be, right? Let it be, or just be. Really, the form of the God of heaven is that of the bumblebee, or the bee. And, one knows the colors of a bee. It's goldish yellow, and black. So what does a bee do, right? It birds flowers, right? It's part of nature. It's what makes flowers grow, really. So what does this mean on a spiritual level? Well, it gives birth to the energy, the feelings, and the chakras. And that's really what one becomes conscious of and aware of um, when one gains access to the 12D. Also, one gains access to the multiverse. So the 13th dimension really is like we reached the next step, really. So it's like another jump, right? Leap of faith, if you will. And it's not, the form is not that of heaven anymore. Uh, Not that of the black hole, the inverted space-time thing. And what one can see in one's mind, in one's conscious, when one gains access to the 13th dimension, is the threads of fate. Okay, so that's really all I gotta say about this for now. Um, I just wanna say thank you in the next slide. Hello, thank you. So we're almost there now. I just wanna mention the 14th dimension, which is the tapestry of life in the universe. So it's like you see the threads of fate, and like I think it's mentioned somewhere in the Bible. It says, I'm not exactly sure what it says. Something like the tapestry of life. You can see the big picture, right? Not just individual threads anymore. You can look at it from the other side. You get an overview of the whole of the universe, of life itself. So that's what the 14th dimension is about. And lastly, I want to mention the 15th dimension, which is that of knowing God or Yahweh. And it's like we progressed from the first dimension, the dog, all the way up to 14th dimension, which is the tapestry of life. And really, God is the weaver. of this tapestry, and his name is Yahweh, and he is God. So please realize this, and thank you. So just a quick note to say, this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching and listening, and I hope you can all realize what I just talked about, and well, love with your spirit. Thank you.